Do I think AI will replace
My doctor. AI has the potential to change our health systems.
AI holds great promise, but there are also risks.
We have to manage the hype versus the reality.
And we want to make sure that we're not just bringing through technologies just for the sake of it, but because actually they're going to really help.
Because it's AI readiness, whether that mitigations and risk framing is positive.
So what I try and help people work out is when you have a new AI technology, whether it's ready for prime time, will it actually benefit patients? Is it safe? I'm Alistair. I'm Professor of Regulatory Science and Innovation at the University of Birmingham and a clinician in the NHS, where I'm an ophthalmologist. I think one of the things to be aware of about AI in healthcare is this is not just a research future-looking issue, this is here now in the health service. Examples include things like chatbots, things like tools for helping triage patients, managing waiting lists. We use them for analysing scans. Things that could take a human many hours can be done in a matter of seconds by a well-trained algorithm. So the potential win with AI is really remarkable. An example from our work is that we can take images of the back of the eye, we can analyse those with AI algorithms and spot the retinal signatures, so the back of the eye signatures of other diseases affecting other parts of the body that we never realised. You can start to link things that we never thought were linked. And we're starting to see, for example, that you can predict the onset of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease, a likelihood of a stroke. Now, that's not possible to a human, but it is possible through artificial intelligence.
I think the way AI can help in medicine is just to support clinicians throughout the patient pathway to make better decisions. So before surgery, in my case, that might mean helping a clinician pick up a disease earlier. During the surgery, it might help them identify structures and decide what to do next. And after the surgery, it may be allowing surgeons to more easily pick up when something's gone wrong. My name is Hani. I'm a consultant neurosurgeon at the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery. I'm also a professor at the UCL Queen Square Institute of Neurology. We're hoping to use AI to analyze operations in real time and provide surgeons with feedback to make those operations safer and more effective with the hope of improving patient outcomes. The AI is able to first and foremost recognize the anatomy, second to understand the instruments that we use, and by looking at the anatomy and the instruments to identify the steps of the procedure. It can advise us when there's a critical part of the operation. It can advise surgeons what the best thing to do next might be. It could tell the anaesthetists how much time is left in the surgery. It could tell the theatre nurse which instrument to use next. So it really provides a lot of information for us. We've actually already started to use AI after operations to provide some feedback to surgeons. And it's pretty analogous to the sort of post-match analysis that you might get after a football game or something like that. In getting that information, surgeons can learn to do the operation better. And we found that has already improved patient outcomes with reduced length of stay, fewer complications as a result.
I'm Rupa. I am the editor-in-chief of the Lancet Digital Health. I work on publishing papers in the field of digital health, and over the years, it's largely become artificial intelligence and health papers. An artificial intelligence tool can be applied very quickly across a lot of people. We're seeing the UK have just announced the world's first AI to determine high-risk infants for stillbirth and neonatals. The scale at which AI can impact patients is very, very quick. A clinical trial is much slower. So drugs, like paracetamol, have undergone so many clinical trials. We know the adverse effects. But with AI, because it is so new, we still are in that, growing phase. We're in the teenage phase. And we don't have yet the right balance of regulation versus speed to implementation.
We're getting better at managing the sort of deep learning imaging-based tools. But now we're having to manage generative AI. How do we regulate a large language model? How do we regulate something which you can put almost infinite inputs into and infinite outputs? What sort of clinical trial is big enough to answer the questions we have around that? There's an awful lot to do, and we're going to have to be doing it faster and faster, and perhaps even rethinking the kind of regulatory paradigm for these technologies. AI is built on data. And if we don't get those data sets right, if we don't make sure that people are represented, effectively everybody's represented, then we can't expect the AI to work for everybody.
We see a lot of models that show bias for underrepresented populations and also different genders as well.
I think there are lots of ways we can help mitigate that risk of bias. I think the models themselves can also, if developed correctly, mitigate that a bit by talking about how confident they are in what they're displaying. Allows the model, even if it's seeing something it's not been trained on, to provide the clinician some safety and alert them that this is something they're not sure about.
And one of the things that we've done a lot of work on is trying to make sure that people both are aware of this as an issue and as a risk, and that actually there's a real drive to build inclusive data sets in which everybody's represented. And so that the technologies and, to be honest, the discoveries that are built on those data sets do apply to the kind of wider population and everybody can benefit.
There's always a risk with any technology of it making the existing inequalities greater. But personally, I see AI as the great solution to that problem. The issue now is that some people are lucky to have access to experts, but most are not. And if you have an expert in the room everywhere, then I think you'll see that a lot of leveling up and patients benefiting from expertise wherever they are.
With AI, we still don't see the impact yet. We're still a long way because healthcare is such a complex system in itself, and it's so different in different countries as well. Where it might work in one area, it won't work in another. So it's not a blanket, AI will solve everything.
In answer to that question of whether AI will replace the doctor, I think a doctor using AI will replace a doctor not using AI. And I really think that to be true. I think it will just become a technology and tool, like in everyday life, that people adopt and in adopting it, do a better job than those not adopting it.
We as humans like to interact with other humans. So it's not that I think it's going to replace that interaction with a doctor, a nurse, or another health professional. There are things that humans are very good at that AI finds very difficult. And that kind of emotional contact, that recognition, I'm a human, you're a human, we're in different positions, but you understand what I'm going through. But where AI will really help is in terms of the more routine tasks and to some extent administrative tasks. So my hope for the impact of AI in healthcare is very much that it will improve the quality of the care. Yes, it will make the system more efficient, but actually what you notice is actually more human time rather than more robot time.